Despite the concentrated effort of a few 4-year-olds, I am in fact alive. And to celebrate my miraculous return from the brink of death, we are here to talk about Season 6 of True Blood. Yes, ladies and ladies, it is that time again.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Make sure that you buckle the fuck up and hold on tight, cause shit's about to get rough. Since we haven't seen each other in a few minutes, let me give you a quick refresher of Season 5 before we jump in. Tara was turned into a vampire at the request of Sookie and Lafayette by Pam after being shot and killed by Debbie. The Vampire Authority kidnapped Bill and Eric. We met Eric's sister Nora. The entirety of the Vampire Authority was destroyed by Russell, and then the remaining members, and Russell and Eric and Bill, got drunk off of Lilith's blood and went on a murder spree. Russell and Steve Newland started dating because he was turned into a vampire and is now openly gay. Sookie and Jason learned the name of the vampire that killed their parents, and his name is Warlow. Bill took over the authority and then ordered a bunch of True Blood factories to be destroyed, which led to vampires openly attacking humans so they can eat. Hoyt asked Jessica and Jason to remove his memories of both of them so that he could move on with his life and join a drilling crew in Alaska. Lafayette accepted his role as the town witch and was almost killed by Jesus' grandpa in Mexico. Sam and Luna were shot and attacked by a local supernatural hate group that we learned was run by Sheriff Dearborn, who is now dead. Alcide became the pack leader of the Shreveport pack after killing JD and taking some V so he could win in the fight. Luna accidentally exposed the existence of shapeshifters when Steve kidnapped her daughter Emma, and she shifted into Steve to go get her daughter back and then was put on national television. So that's probably going to be a problem. Russell was killed by Eric and Sookie and some other fairies after he tried to attack them. Jason is back to being firmly anti-vampire and said he hates all vampires, so we really learned nothing. Eric and Sookie watched as Bill drank all of Lilith's blood and then exploded into a pile of goo and then reformed in the goo and rose up from the dead. So that's probably not good. That's the very basic rundown of Season 5. That's all the important bits that you need to know before we dive into the clusterfuck that is Season 6. But before we begin, there is one more side note for me to add, and it is that you'll notice that there are fewer clips in this episode because last episode YouTube gave me the triple fisting of a lifetime, and it was really a hassle to get the other one up, and I don't want to go through that again, so sorry. Go watch the show, duh, but I'm doing my best here, pal. So with all of that out of the way, and without further ado, because you've been patiently waiting, let's get into Bill's anime villain arc and talk about Season 6. We're pretty much thrown right back into the end of Season 5 with Bill coming out of the blood of Lilith and Sookie and Eric being stunned.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
There are some few notable differences about our boy. He is now naked and covered in blood, and his fangs are longer, and he can tell different species apart by sight, and we see that with Sookie because she is glowing to him, and he's not really in the mood to talk.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
If I had to compare his new kind of like skills that he'll display during this season, I'd probably say it was along the level of supernatural demons. Like he can fling people against walls and he's like super strong and he's just doing all that weird shit. So that's the kind of like power level we're looking at here. Eric and Sookie escape the building in an SUV as Bill tears the whole Authority building apart and kills anyone that he finds inside. Eric and Sookie meet up with Jessica, Pam, Tara, and Nora outside, and they talk about what the fuck just happened. While they're doing that, they hear a radio announcement from Governor Burrell stating that vampires no longer have rights in the state of Louisiana, and that they have a curfew, and that the cops are out and they will be arrested, and he's very, very serious about it. Pam finds out about Nora being Eric's sister and yells at him about not trusting her and not telling her anything, and how can I give my whole life to you and you don't give your whole life to me? And he's like, shut the fuck up and get over it. Which, season 5 did this, but season 6 is going to do it more. They're making my man's be an asshole to her, and that's just undermining everything else that they've done in this series of being partners and family and being kind of like the only important people to each other. I don't know why they decided to undermine all of that, but I'm not a fucking fan. Eric tells Nora about Bill's resurrection and asks her if there's anything in the vampire Bible, I won't be using that term again, I rebuke that, that would say something about that. And she's like, no, that's ridiculous. And he's like, well, it's not ridiculous because I just fucking witnessed it. Luna and Sam and Emma are stumbling away after the whole revealing shapeshifters to the world extravaganza eleganza, and Luna's like, hey, LOL, I'm gonna die. You need to take my kid and run the fuck away.
Take our money, run! No! No! Sam, please! Take her. Mommy, no! Protect her.
Nora glamours Jason into talking about Warlow and giving her information, and she recognizes the name, but she doesn't say from where. And Jason's very mad because, remember, he's anti-vampire right now, and he wants to kill her, but Sookie steps in front of her and is like, don't! Violence is not the answer. And Eric's like, yeah, I would have fucking murdered him if he even tried that shit. But and so everybody kind of calms down for 5 seconds. Bill, wherever he is, wherever he flew off to after he killed everybody, summons Jessica, and apparently he's so powerful now that it physically hurts her. She starts vomiting up blood. It's not very cute. Sookie is really worried about her, so she insists that they take her to Bill's house, because that must be where he went, so that she doesn't die. And Eric is like, okay, Tara and Pam, that's Tara, not the other way around, go to Fantasia, hunker down, we'll be back. And he takes Nora and Jessica and Sookie, and they leave. Alcide is still high from the V that he took to kill JD, and this woman named Danielle is trying to get her a piece of that, which is understandable because we all have eyes. And Ricky is off to the side, his kind of sort of girlfriend, whatever they are. They're never really established as anything. Is kind of watching from the sidelines, and he says no for now, but... And Martha's also there. That's Emma's grandma, if you forgot. I forgot to mention her in my recap, but Martha's also there. Andy is adjusting to having quadruplets, and he goes to sleep that night, and he is woken up by a bunch of 4-year-olds. And from personal experience, that's not fun.
Hi, Daddy. Hi, Daddy.
Sam takes Emma back to Merlotte's, and he finds Lafayette sleeping in his office. Apparently he came to the bar, grabbed a bottle, and like drank all of it and went to sleep. And he goes, I don't want to know what's going on. It's not my fucking business. Let me make you and Emma something to eat. And he's just kind of chill. He's like, you know what? I don't even care, girl. Like, it's not my business. Jason is walking down the side of the road because he's mad at Nora for glamoring him, and he left the group after Sookie defended her, and he's picked up by this old man, and he's like, oh, I'm headed to Bon Temps. I had family there a long time ago. I'm just going to visit. And they're talking, and he asks Jason to tell him his life story to pass the time, and Jason basically just tromping up on this old man. So he's really not good at the whole keeping your mouth shut thing. While they're talking, the old man, who I'll just go ahead and tell you his name is Niall, says that Jason has to keep Sookie away from Morlo, which is something that this old man shouldn't know because Jason hasn't gotten there yet. And Jason's like, what the flippity fuck? And tries to shoot the old man, but the old man disappears. Sookie, Eric, Nora, and Jessica make it to Bill's house, and they find him, thankfully clothed and clean of blood, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? He kind of starts talking cryptically, and he's like, I'm in charge, and you blah, blah, blah. And he's like warning them about crossing him. And Sookie says, fuck all that noise, and tries to stake him, and the shit does nothing.
I'm in danger!
He says that he's not going to hurt anyone, and Sookie says that if that were true, that he would leave and never come back and leave them all the fuck alone, which is valid and right and just so good of her to say, because fuck you. If you really cared and you didn't want to hurt anybody, you'd leave. You are the problem 99.99999% of the fucking time. Jessica gets mad that everybody tried to kill Bill because even though he's an asshole, that is her dad. And so she tells them all to leave, and they do. Jessica and Bill talk about everything that happened, and Bill says that she's the only one he can trust. And I want you to remember, I want you to put it in your brain that this is not a sweet moment between a father and a daughter. This is because he's her maker and he can control her. He can trust her because he can compel her to tell the truth. Don't get it twisted, bitch. This is not a sweet father-daughter moment. This is some bullshit. I know some of y'all are Bill stans, okay? But we don't do that here. Governor Burrell talks to a True Blood manufacturer and convinces them to use his facility to manufacture more, which will become important later. Keep that in mind. Governor Burrell has a True Blood contract to manufacture True Blood in the state of Louisiana. Why would a governor that doesn't like vampires manufacture True Blood for vampires? Alcide and Danielle have sex and are caught by Ricky, who basically just kind of says,
he know where home at.
And while some of y'all sick freaks would sit there and go, well, if that was my man, I'd let him do whatever he wants because look at him, y'all need therapy. Ricky should have just left. She should have beat Danielle's ass. She should have beat his ass, and then she should have started walking. Okay? Ain't no, he know where home at. I'm his main bitch type shit. Like, she needs to get standards, and you need to get standards. Tara is shot by a cop, soldier, whatever he is, while she's trying to defend Pam, and she falls to the floor screaming, but she doesn't die. So something weird is going on with the bullets that they're using. Eric gives Sookie her house back, and then she rescinds his invitation, which is fucking stupid. That's the main person on this earth who, like, is in love with you and wants to protect you. And Nora comments on their relationship and how he feels about her, and he says, don't ever bring this shit up ever again. Like, for realsies and for serious. Don't ever in your life bring this shit up again. Bill is sitting on the porch, and he has this vision of 3 naked ladies covered in blood, and they run into his body. Like, and it's very weird. On the bridge where their parents were killed, a ball of light appears, and a man steps through it. And we don't see all of his face, but from what we can see, he looks like a Pirates of the Caribbean reject. Like, it's not giving whatever they thought it gave. The old man reappears and tells Jason that he is his fairy grandfather, and proves that by telling Jason things that only Jason would know from his childhood. And he says he's very disappointed that Jason can't keep his fucking mouth shut about the whole Warlow situation, because what if he was Warlow? Like, get your fucking head on straight. and says if he wants to help him, then he needs to get his shit together, which is valid. Eric and Nora go back to Fantasia, where they find Tara in pain, and they help her out. They pull the bullet out of her, and it has like a little UV light in it, and that's why it's hurting her. And Tara tells Nora that all of this is her fault because her and her dumb fuck friends wanted to have Lilith, and they believed in this vampire Bible, and they let Bill blow up all these things, and now the humans want war, and like, you're a bitch. And Pam, as always, you are so correct and so valid. Like, you're just so right. Never change. Eric leaves the bar without telling anybody where he's going, because apparently fuck everybody else. Jessica, back at the house, finds Bill screaming because apparently now he can feel the pain of all vampires, and a lot of them are being killed by humans. Bill has a vision of Lilith, and they're talking for a minute, and he asks her if she is God, and her response is basically,
"You are made of stupid."
And she says that there's only one God.
And you know that's right.
But Bill is now super powerful, and that he needs to stop the destruction that is coming. He sees a vision of Pam, Tara, Jessica, Eric, and I think Steve. Can't remember if Steve was in the vision. And they're in this circular room, and they are being burned by the sun. It's very Interview with a Vampire. If you remember how Claudia died, like if you've ever seen the 94 movie, like that type shit, but like in a room. That's what Bill sees. And he's like, oh, I gotta stop it. If you remember Patrick from the last season, his pregnant wife, turns out he wasn't lying about that. She comes into Merlotte's and talks to Terry, and Terry's about to admit that he killed Patrick, but then Arlene is like, LOL, we saw him here with a woman. He must have run off. What a deadbeat. Girl, let me get you something to eat. Like, Arlene is so down to lie. And that's fine. Like, I get it. Like, how do you explain to him that, like, a smoke monster killed your husband and, like, there was a curse? How do you explain that to her? But, like, she doesn't even feel bad about it. Like, this man's wife will now have to raise their children alone, and she doesn't give a fuck. And that's kind of, like, a little bit cruel. Like, a little bit. Terry is very upset about having lied to this woman. And the guilt is starting to eat my baby. Sookie remembers that she has a job and is walking to work because her car broke down, and she hears this man groaning in the bushes, and she goes to check on him even though she knows she shouldn't.
Not today. I have a job. Oh gosh, dang it.
The man introduces himself as Ben. This is Ben right here. And he says that he's a fairy, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves, like Sookie, and that a vampire attacked him because it could smell his blood. And she's like, ooh, okay. And so she offers to take him to the fairy club and, like, tell him where it is so that he can get some help. Niall and Jason go to Sookie's house, but obviously she's not there. So while they wait, Niall does some fairy investigation and says that the situation is worse than he thought it was. I don't know what he means because he never elaborates, but it's bad, I guess. A woman named Nicole tries to convert Sam into this group called the Vampire Unity Society, and basically what they do is they are trying to unite all supernatural creatures to stop the attacks that are happening, because, I mean, they're gonna find out that there's other things than vampires out there, and, like, they're going to be attacked too, so she's trying to recruit, and Sam says, bruh, leave me the fuck alone, get out of my bar. And it just isn't in the mood to deal with her shit. I forgot to put an X on Luna. Oh, my flippin' flippity. I know you didn't have a choice, girl, but you kind of left your child with, like, the worst person that you could have left him with, but, you know. Nora reads something in the vampire book of silliness, and finds some information. But since Eric isn't there, she tells Pam that she's leaving and, but doesn't say where she's going. Because why would we communicate in a situation like this? Why would we? We catch up with Eric, who is on an undercover mission.
Nice.
He is at the governor's mansion to get a meeting with Burrell to try and glamour him into stopping being a fucking asshole. And while he's in the middle of doing that, he starts laughing and he says that they created contacts so that vampires couldn't glamour them. And I hope you're not curious about how that works, because this show is not interested in telling you how that works. Burrell calls his guards and tells them to take Eric to the camp. And I don't know about you, but every time a powerful person mentions a camp, I get a little nervous. I wonder why. I wonder what could possibly make me nervous about a politician making a camp for a certain type of people. But it makes me nervous. He manages to get away from the guards as they escort him out, because obviously they don't know that they're dealing with a 1,000-year-old vampire who doesn't fucking play games. And he goes to the governor's daughter's Willow's bedroom, who just took out her special super duper cool contacts, and he glamours her to let him inside. Jason and Niall go to Sookie's house, or they're at Sookie's house. Sookie comes home. They're all at the house now, okay? Whatever, it doesn't matter. They're all at the house now. And Niall gives him a little history lesson that he is from the oldest bloodline of fairies, and he's like royalty, not to flex, I guess, humble brag. And that when he was a child, Warlow killed his whole entire village and left him alive for some reason, and now he's tracking him down, and he's just on a Inigo Montoya type quest right now, okay? Niall says that Sookie has a special power, which basically amounts to... But it should be used as a last resort, because if she uses it, all of her magic will be gone. I know we touched on that last season, but she can get rid of her magic, and it can be completely drained because she's not full fae. She's a mutt, and so she needs to be careful. Martha, Alcide, and Danielle show up to take Emma away from Sam and Lafayette. And Martha, understandable. That's Emma's grandma. Alcide, understandable. That's the pack leader. But what the fuck is Danielle doing here? You're the number 2 bitch of coked out weirdo. What are you adding to this conversation? Why are you here? They beat the fucking brakes off of Sam and Lafayette, and then they leave with Emma, who doesn't want to go with them. And unbeknownst to everybody, Nicole is in the bushes recording. For whatever reason, it feels a little blackmail-y to me, but pop off, queen.
The next day.
There has been a development. So you'll notice her during this video, because if you put her down, she starts screaming. So she'll be here while we finish this. Also, you might hear my fan, because it is hot as balls in this room that I'm in. And I need some air. So episode 3 starts off with Eric in Willa's room, and she is like, "No, don't kill me, Mr. Sexy Vampire Man. I know information." And he's like, information might be useful. So he takes her with him when he escapes. Bill tells Jessica about the vision he had of everyone burning and promises to stop it. Warlow shows up outside of Sookie's house, but disappears when Niall goes outside to confront him. Nicole helps a beaten up Sam and Lafayette back into the bar and says that she'll help them get Emma back. And then Lafayette says that he'll help Sam because he's been good to him over the years, and they're kind of like BFFs right now. The show hasn't really spent any time focusing on them being BFFs.
Today, Junior?
but I guess they're BFFs now, so. Eric and Willa arrive back at the bar, and Pam is not excited about that, and he doesn't really care about Pam's opinion, and then he says to pack anything they want to keep because they're outie, they gotta go. And usually I'd be like, he kidnapped her, but she's kind of into it, so they end up going to Ginger's house to hide because nobody really pays attention to Ginger, and it's kind of fucked because she thinks that Eric is there to have sex with her because that's how he kind of plays it, and then everybody else shows up and she's like, oh. Steve is dragged to the vampire camp where he is shocked to see his technically not ex-wife but technically ex-wife, Sarah, who says that she helped start this camp and all vampires are going to die if she has a say in it. So Bill almost gets himself killed because he thinks that he's the shit and he can walk in the sun, and then he barely makes it back inside. To Jessica, who is hysterical because he almost died in front of her and she's stressed. Niall goes to the ferry club and finds everyone dead inside, and I don't think I put him on the board. LOL, unprofessional. But Claude, the guy from last season, the fairy dude that they found out who Warlow was with, is dying, and he tells him that they had been attacked and it was nothing like they'd ever seen, and he doesn't know what's going on, and then he dies. So, R.I.P. Claude, I guess. When Niall leaves the club, he finds Ben, who is looking for the club because Sookie told him about it, and Niall's like, "LOL, congratulations, you're now fighting with me."
But now you have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees.
Holly shows up at the police station to talk to Andy about some vampires that have been harassing her, and Andy introduces him to her. That's her. Introduces her to his kids who are now 13-ish. They were toddlers and now they're 13. That's gotta be fun. And then he says, "Can I take you to teach you how to shoot so you can defend yourself because I'm worried about you?" And she says yes. And so they're not back together yet, but this is the beginning of that saga. Ricky shows up to tell Alcide and Martha that the cops are looking for Emma. And she's like, "This isn't going to end well. You got to stop doing this because we've technically kidnapped her now." And he's like, "Shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm the alpha." Willa is telling Eric her life story, which is a yawn fest. And then she tries to drink some of his blood without an invite, by the way, which is weird. And he's not having any of it.
Don't rush me, Katie. I'm just not ready.
Bill recruits Jessica to go and flirt with Professor Takashi because he's the person that made True Blood in the first place. And the reason that he needs Jessica specifically is because Takashi's into taking advantage of young women. Bill then goes to Sookie's house and is like, "Give me some of your blood, LOL, so I can synthesize it and, save all these vampires." And she's like, "How do I know you're not fucking lying to me, you fucking crazy bitch? Get out of my fucking face, get out of my house." And then Bill's like, "You're dead to me," because he's a 13-year-old girl.
Who cares?
And then he leaves. On his way home, he runs into Andy, and Andy's like, "What are you doing out past curfew?" Because if you remember, Governor Burrell put a curfew on vampires. And Bill's like, "LOL, just walking home." And Andy's like, "Okay," since he knows Bill and he thinks they're cool. Because he doesn't know about the whole, Bill is now a superpowered asshole thing. So he's like, "Okay, we'll just go home, okay? I don't want to have to arrest you." And Bill's like, "Okay." And then he smells something with his little nose. And it's his kids, because I guess there was a toy in the car. And he's like, and you can see the little gears turning in his evil little mind. Nicole tries to recruit Alcide and the pack to join the Unity group that she tried to recruit Sam into. And they're like, "LOL, fuck you." And they kill all of her friends, but they leave her alive. And while that's happening, Sam, disguised as an owl, goes in and gets Emma, and they scamper off. And then Lafayette's driving the getaway car, and they see Nicole who's injured, and they pick her up too, because, you gotta look out for a bitch. Burrell and the cops almost catch Eric and the gang at Ginger's house because the stupid bitch answers the phone, and they're tracking that. And while they're on the phone, Eric says, "LOL, I'm gonna kill your daughter," and they fuck out of there. Niall and Ben show up at Sookie's house, and Sookie and Ben are like, "Hey, girl, how you doing? Are you feeling better? LOL," and they're bonding. And then Niall and Ben are like, "Why is there something outside the house?" And they run outside, and they see Nora. Well, Niall runs outside. Ben's still inside, but Nora's here now. Jason, who has been used as a punching bag lately, faints because he's got head injuries. Episode 4, since Jason is fainting and he has like a bunch of head injuries, so he's like, "Damn, I better get him some medical attention." And she calls 911, and then Ben is like, let me just cut my wrist and let him drink some of my blood.
Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson.
Nora and Niall are still outside having a conversation, but she keeps getting distracted by his blood because where Sookie, you gotta remember, is a half fairy, he's a full hairy fairy, and she's getting a little distracted, and so he blasts her.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow. And then she's caught by the authorities and presumably taken to camp. Sookie is shocked to come back and see Jason, like, awake and doing okay, and she's like, that's a little bit strange. And she walks Ben to the door, and he and Niall leave. Ginger's house is raided.
FBI, open up!
And she's taken away. Terry, my beloved, my one and only, is being psychologically tortured by his nieces who are reading his mind and then talking about what they know. And that's really fucking with him because he's got, I killed my friend from the military guilt, which is valid. And then the kids go to bed and they turn into teenagers. And after being teenagers for 10 seconds, they decide the best thing to do is to sneak out and get alcohol. And they are followed by Bill and Jessica. And then while they're there, Jessica helps them get the alcohol that they want and then leads them to Bill's car. Okay, side note. Just like us, okay. I get that Jessica loves Bill. And even if she didn't want to do this, Bill could make her anyway. But the fact that she's so on board with kidnapping kids is a little crazy to me. Like, girl, weren't you kidnapped and brought into this vampire shit against your will? Why are you doing this? Bill is like talking to the girls and he lures one of them away and it's implied that they're going to have sex, but he doesn't do that. I wouldn't put it past this show, though. And he takes some of their blood and he takes it to Takashi and he's like, synthesize this now. And he's like, okay, I'm your hostage in your basement, but that's fine. Niall showed Sookie like a magic thing she could do to like detect Warlow's blood. And she does that on some blood that Ben had like, I don't know, left behind. And it turns out that Ben is Warlow. And while we probably could have figured that out on our own, I wish that the show had paced it better because we're not even halfway through the season and now we just know who our dude is. Like, it's the Southern Vampire Mysteries, not the Southern Vampire tell us immediately what's going on. Crazy concept. Jason has a sex dream about Ben/Warlow. I'm just going to continue to call him Ben because Warlow's stupid and I get tongue-tied. So, that's that. Eric turns Willow, there she is, into a vampire. For shits and giggles, I guess. He kind of He made such a big deal when we learned about Pam being turned, of like, you're the only person who ever turned, and it being like this huge deal, and now you're just turning this random bitch. And ostensibly, he says it's to like change Burrell's mind on vampires, because like if his daughter's a vampire, is he going to torture vampires? But like, that's stupid. And Pam is gonna be really upset because you already treat her like trash, and now you have a new like child that you're gonna take care of. Is she ready for a sister? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and if something tells me that you're not going to be a super great father like you were with him, because a lot of shit's going on. You're going to create her in this time. Men are stupid. And I don't respect them. That's that. Sam tells Lafayette to leave, so him and Nicole and Emma are in a hotel room, and he wants Lafayette to leave so that Alcide and them don't come to kill him. Because Lafayette can't defend himself, even though Lafayette is very not afraid of Alcide. Like, even a little bit. Like, he'll shoot that bitch in the head. Like, he's not even playing this game. Like, Andy is freaking out looking for his kids, but he doesn't know how to describe them because they keep changing. So he's like, they were toddlers yesterday, but like, they might not be toddlers today. Like, I don't know, man. He's having a hard time. Suki cooks up a little scheme, a devious plot, you might say, to find out what Ben is, like, what he's supposed to be doing. And she's so fucking low IQ that I'm surprised that she remembers to breathe. Like, she's so fucking dumb. She goes to his hotel room, and she invites him over for dinner. So fucking dumb. Like, bitch, just blast a hoe. Like, fuck him up. Go to his hotel room and be like, ooh, let's have sex, and then fucking blast his ass into Kingdom Come. Like, you're so fucking dumb. Niall figures out that Ben is Warlow because Suki, the low IQ woman that she is, didn't tell him, and he takes Jason to go to his hotel room and end this hoe because it's time. On the way there, Niall tells Jason that Warlow is something new. He's a hybrid between a vampire and a fairy. That's why he can walk in the sun, and that's why Warlow can't feel him as a vampire, and that's why shit's bad, because he's the only one that is known of, and it's probably not good. And it turns out Lilith is his mum. So you know he's fucked. Thing 1 and Thing 2 arrive at Ben's hotel room, and it immediately goes to shit because, obviously, and he injures Niall, and glamours Jason.
Good. You never came here. You never found me. This search has caused you so much pain. Let that pain go. Does Suki know about me? No. We came straight here. Good.
And then he kind of takes Niall later on and throws him into the fairy dimension so he can be like, bitch, get the fuck out. I don't know why he didn't just kill him. It's for plot purposes later, like when Niall comes back, but like just kill him. It's your biggest op. Like, stop being a fucking idiot. Eric sends Willa back to her dad. Like I said, not going to be a good father this time around, because he's under the impression that he'll change his mind. Willa's not on board. And I agree. Like, she was just turned 5 seconds ago. She's not ready for secret spy missions. Pam says Eric is a fucking dickhead and they're leaving, and she takes Tara, and Tara's like, okay. And while they're leaving, they're stopped by the authorities because they hear them having an argument because our two divas can't be in the same diva space without having a cat fight. And Pam is taken, and Tara gets away. We learn that Sarah and Burrell are bumping uglies.
Ew!
Because apparently Sarah will fuck anything for power, which is probably not a good thing for a Christian woman to be doing. Not that I can throw stones or anything, but like, I'm gonna need you to read the Bible that you're thumping for like 2 fucking seconds, okay? Willa comes back to camp and attacks her father because she's hungry and she just got turned. Duh. And Sarah demands that she be sent to the camp. Andy has a conversation with Jason and realizes that Bill must be the one that took his kids because he smelled the thing and asked about them. And Jason says that fairies are like catnips to vampires. And Andy's like, oh, fuck, like, that's not good. And speaking of the girls, Bill hears screaming and he runs in, and Jessica's standing over the dead bodies of the 4 girls. Oh, it's not good. Oh, it's just not good. Oh my god, it's just not good. I'm just now realizing that they didn't have names. So I'm gonna name them Slime Girl, Goblinator, Anita, and Blob. Sookie and Ben are having dinner and they're talking about their lives, and Ben says that you're the only woman that's ever understood me. And everyone who's ever dated a fuckboy just like cringed so hard that their spine came through their back, but he said the dumb shit anyway. And she's like, hee. And then they're on the couch and they're making out, and she's like, I know who you are. He's like, oh.
You can get off me now. Get the fuck off me or die, Orlo.
And she really thought she ate with that, but really you could have just ended all of this. But you didn't do it. Episode 5 starts with Sookie yelling at Ben. And she's like, you killed my parents, which is a valid argument. And he says, well, I only killed them because they were going to kill you. And I had to protect you because I've been waiting lifetimes for you, Sookie. Okay. And then she tells him to shut the fuck up and blast him in the chest, which kind of good, kind of badass, kind of baller. Bill comforts Jessica and says that the girls aren't dead and everything's okay. But spoiler alert, 3 of the girls are dead. And Slime Girl right here is the only one that survived. That's why she's kind of out from under the X. That's Slime Girl. She'll get a name later, but for right now, she's Slime Girl. Jessica, who is now drunk on fairy blood, tries to sleep with Bill. And he stops her. And he's like, LOL, you're drunk. Which is the only argument he makes, but also she's your child. And that's weird. So maybe make that argument next time, big dog. While they're talking, Bill, who can feel the pain of vampires, remember, feels Ben, Borlo get hit by Sookie, and he's like, that's really weird. And he goes over there, and he's like, ooh, you're my child. You have to listen to my commands. Come with me. And he does. Which is a little weird. I didn't think that's how that worked, but I guess since he's Billith, he can command Borlo. So that's cool, I guess. Andy busts into Bill's house and finds all of his kids dead except for Slime Girl. And then he takes her to the police station and he gives her vampire blood to heal her because he's like, I'm not losing any more kids today. Tara goes back to tell Eric that Pam is gone, and he's like, oh, we gotta go get my baby. I wish she had that attitude while she was still here. Like, why she gotta be gone for you to care about that, but whatever. And they decide to go get arrested in hopes of going to get Pam. Pam gets to camp, and she's kind of walking down the hall, and she's seeing all the experiments that they're running, and she's like, oh, fuck, like, it's not looking good, babe. So, like, she might be in trouble. Sarah tries to convince Burrell to kill Willa, and then they can get married and have kids, and he politely declines. He said, it ain't that good, baby mama. Like, it just... After being rejected by Bald Head Man, she goes to Jason's house, and is like, God told me to come have sex with you.
Lies, lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
And since the plot treats him like a blow-up doll and doesn't really care about his autonomy or his mental health, he does it, which is kind of dumb. Yeah, this is a show. You want to watch it? You want to get some culture? Yeah? Well, don't climb on it. It'll fall. Okay, I'll give you a tour. Hold on. I'll give you a tour. Hold on. So hold on. I need you to pay attention. That's Martha, and that's Nicole, and that's Slime Girl, and that's Arlene and Terry. Terry's our favorite, okay? He's our one and only. Okay? We're Team Terry in here, okay? And the show is about this bitch. She's dumb. And one day she fell for this man. Now let me tell you something. You're a young woman. Men are stupid and we shouldn't trust them. It's just not good for us to trust them. Especially dark-haired, medium ugly men. Like, don't trust them ever at all. Oh, okay. And yeah, she does shenanigans, while sleeping with every man that makes eye contact with her, except for Sam. Justice for Sam. And right now, he thinks he's God. And and Crunchwrap, that's what we would call blasphemy. And we don't do that here. Okay? Jessica goes to Jason because they're besties, and says, "Oh my god, I killed these kids. And Sarah comes out of that bedroom and is like, the fuck? And then Jessica's like, who's that skank whore bitch ass hoe? And then Jessica's arrested and taken to the camp. So everybody's really ended up at this camp. It's almost like his vision's coming true. That's probably not good. Jason is like, ooh, I gotta get my bestie. So he's like, I'm gonna go join the AVF. Yeah, something like that. To get into the camp and save my bestie. And my question about that is, what about your job as a cop? Like you're fully a cop. This town has like 4 cops total. So like, what about that? Bill explains the whole Billis situation to Borlo, and Borlo is like, fuck off and die. I'm not helping you save anybody. I hate vampires, which based, but also like you all won. We then get a flashlight. We then get a flashlight into Borlo's past about the day or the night that Lilith turned him, and she meets him by the river, and she's like, God told me about you. And then she they have sex, and then she turns him. But like, I'm gonna need you to leave God out of this. This is not the place. He wants no part of this. He just doesn't want any part of this at all. Borlo and Billith continue to argue about, like, you have to help me save them. I won't help you save them. You have to help me save them. I won't help you save them. And then Borlo's like, I'm the one that killed Lilith in the first place. What makes you think I would help you? Actually, I'll kill you if given the chance. And Bill's like, and we're supposed to be like, but like, who cares? Alcide goes to see his dad, and ostensibly it's about getting advice, but then he doesn't like his dad's advice, and so he punches his dad, which... that's not very leader behavior of you, dude. Eric and Tara make it to the camp, and then they're separated, and not Bill. I'm so sorry. Eric is put into a room where he has to kill 3 other vampires, and he genuinely doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I don't give a fuck about them. I give a fuck about me and my bitches. If you're not me or my bitches, I don't really care about you, so... Pamela is in a court-mandated therapy session with a complete goober. He's creepy, and he's ugly, and he's stupid, and he says that if she complies, she can drink human blood, so she does, but our queen, our beautiful, luscious, never makes a mistake in her life queen doesn't see this as a red flag, but, like, it kind of is. Like... that's a red flag. Why would people who don't like vampires hire people to feed vampires? That doesn't make any sense. She doesn't care though, like she's hungry, so like. Sookie asks Lafayette to help her talk to her dead parents. Hello, these are her dead parents. We hadn't met them before. And he does that because apparently he's just carrying everyone this season because nobody can do anything on their own. And when she talks to them, they're like, yeah, we were going to kill you. Yeah, just admit it. And they say that Warlow was like, I'm gonna marry your daughter and I'm gonna turn her into a vampire fairy hybrid thing. And they said, fuck that. Instead of just hiding her or like trying to figure out a way to like protect her, Corbett tried to kill his 9-year-old and Warlow killed him. He's like, yeah, and I still don't want that to happen to you. So he possesses Lafayette, which we've seen happen before. And then he decides that he's going to kill Sookie.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so. Okay.
He takes her to the river and he tries to drown her. Terry the Magnificent asks his friend from the military, Justin, to kill him.
What did you just say, Bill?
And this friend agrees after he learns that Terry's the one that killed Patrick. And Terry says he just needs a few days to get some affairs in order and then he can be murdered and everything will be fine. Sam, Nicole, and Emma are hiding out in a hotel and they are being followed, but they don't know that. But we know that. Willa is put in solitary confinement due to her relationship with the governor and he wants to protect her. Andy wants to kill Bill and Jessica for killing his children, and Holly talks him down and is like, listen, you need to go be with your child, whatever, and essentially saves his life because he doesn't know that Bill is like this overpowered thing yet. So he doesn't know that she's in the vampire camp. So Holly really saved his life because Bill would have just snapped his head off. And I like Andy, even though he's come done. Tara finds Jessica in the sea of other prisoners, and they meet a vampire named Violet who seems to kind of like run the other prisoners around here. So that's fun. She's a little crazy. She's got the psycho eyes. Eric and Pam are put into a room and told they have to fight to the death.
Oh no!
Episode 6 starts back in the room where Eric and Pam were told to kill each other. And instead of killing each other, they kill a bunch of guards and they learn that Steve is the one that gave them the information, like them being maker and child. And, and they don't have to kill each other.
Only God can do it. Only God can do it. Only God can do it.
As a punishment for this, though, Eric is made to watch Nora get injected with Hep B, which is the thing that we learned about in the first season that gets vampires sick. And she's gonna die, like a slow and painful death. Bill feels Sookie's distress and allows Ben to go save her, and Sookie is able to cast out Elizabeth Dad from Lafayette. Y'all gotta stop getting Lafayette involved in shit, because y'all just keep getting him hurt, and I don't like that. Bill tries to summon Borlo again, but Sookie's like, since you helped me, I'll take you to the fairy realm where he can't feel you anymore and he can't have control of you. And once they get there, he's like, I need you to tie me up so I don't hurt anybody. Thanks. And she's like, okay. And they talk about her parents trying to kill her, and he says that she's the only innocent one in the situation, which is the only honest thing that he's ever going to say. And that if he were allowed to turn her, she just said yes, they could live off of each other because they could drink each other's blood and not hurt anybody, and they could go wherever they wanted because they'd still be able to go in the sun. Which sounds like a better deal, but she doesn't want to do that. So Bill thinks that Borlo is dead and tells Takashi to drain him of almost all of his blood so that he can get to that hallucination stage where he talks to Lilith and then put all the blood back in him. And Takashi's like, yeah, but like, why would you trust your hostage to do that? I'd just leave you for dead. Fuck you. And then Lilith is like, why are you even here? You did this. You need to figure it out. Don't talk to me.
Oh, this bitch just read me for filth on the runway.
He drinks the rest of Borlo's blood that he had collected and leaves the house to go save the day because he thinks he's Superman all of a sudden. Sam and Nicole talk about what kind of life Emma is going to have if she's always on the run, and they decide to give her back to Martha because Martha's her grandmother and maybe she needs to be in the pack. And so Martha leaves, and then Alcide shows up, and Sam's like, we don't have her. Fucker, you're too late. And Alcide's like, yeah, I know, I was watching you the whole time, but I'm gonna let you guys live. The pack wants you dead, but I'm gonna let you live because I am in charge. And just don't come back to Bonton ever again or Shreveport. Like, who are you? Who are you to tell him not to go back to his house? Andy finally names Slime Girl.
Before you go to work, that you could maybe give me a real name? Seems only fair.
Of course it is. Where do I start?
Go with the A's.
Okay, back in the first grade, I knew a girl named, Adeline. Super pretty, super nice. She moved away. Never met another Adeline since.
Until now.
Until now.
And I guess Adeline's a nice name other than Slime Girl, so we'll call her Adeline now. Terry visits Lafayette and makes him take a key to a safety deposit box and like will not leave until Lafayette takes the key. And Lafayette calls Arlene and says, I think your man's about to kill himself. You better go fix that. And so Arlene goes to Holly, and Holly's like, oh, I know this vampire. He owes me a favor. He'll glamour him. And so this vampire comes over and glamours Terry to forget that he wants to kill himself and erases the military and anything wrong that he's ever done, the PTSD and all of that. And all he needs to know, it's...
Tell him there was no Marines.
There was no Marines.
There was no war.
There was no war.
All he needs to know is he's a father.
All you need to know is that you're a father.
A stepfather.
A stepfather.
A husband.
A husband.
And a cook.
And a cook.
And while I understand why they did it, like his wife, that's his wife, if she thinks he's going to kill himself, cool. But erasing his military service, erasing all the work he did to combat his PTSD, erasing his life's experiences, and just telling him you're a husband and a father and a cook is such a disservice to him that you basically killed him long before anyone else could. Jason is hired by the AVF and blackmails Sarah with their relationship so she doesn't like fire him or turn him in or tell to run. Sarah, where'd she go? Sarah makes Jason watch a copulation study, which is just forced sexual assault. Sarah! Between Jessica and a guy named James. You might recognize James from last season because he was a werewolf, and they dyed his hair and said LOL new character. So, anyway, James refuses because he doesn't know her and Jessica's uncomfortable, and they torture him, but he still says no, and then they're sent out of the room. And Jason's like, you bitch! Which is accurate, but whatever. Bill kills Burrell when he refuses to tell him where the camp is. Rips his head smooth off. Willa, where'd she go? Willa is somehow in general population now. I guess her dad said okay, or Sarah did it, I don't know. And she glamours a guard so she can go get Eric, who wants to get Nora out. And then Eric says he wants to get Pam, and Willa says they have to get Tara and Jessica because they helped her out against Violet. So now they're on a little mission to go get people. And Eric is dressed up as a guard, and he learns that the people are poisoning the blood that they're getting to kill them. So don't drink it. It's not good. Sookie is talking to Borlo and complains about being called a danger whore.
Well, if the boot fits...
Say that again.
If the boot fits.
And then sleeps with him, and sleep with whoever you want, but this man killed your parents and thinks that you belong to him due to some weird fairy pact. So, like, maybe stop and think about it. Terry is at work, and he goes to take out the trash, and he is killed by Jackson like they agreed on. I forgot to put Burrell's little thing on. That's not good. Goodbye, Mr. Clean. Eric tells Willa about the blood being poisoned and tells her she has to stay at camp and warn their group. So that's Pam, Tara, and Jessica not to drink it. But not anybody else. Fuck everybody else. Just the peeps. So she does that, she stays, she goes back, she tells them. Eric goes to Bill's house to beg him to fix Nora, but Nora's like, LOL, no, I'm gonna die. And Bill's like, I'm not gonna do it against her will. Which, now we don't want to give people our blood without consent. That's real funny, because we did it the first time. We did it the first time, didn't we, Billiam? Sookie, Sam, Lafayette, and everybody kind of find out that Terry is dead, and they're all kind of gathered together at the Belfleur house. Sookie and Lafayette go to the safety deposit box, because if you remember, Terry gave him a key, and it is a life insurance policy for $2 million. Because he just wanted to make sure his wife and kids were taken care of, because he was gonna. Jason, where'd he go? Jason arranges a meeting between James and Jessica, and they have a little smoochy, sexy time. Okay, cool. And Jason's outside, just kind of standing there, like, do, 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 do. And Sarah comes up and she's like, LOL, you don't have any blackmail over me anymore. Fuck you. And cuts his arm and puts him in the female population. And Tara's like, oh, fuck no, you're not killing my bestie. Mm-mm. And she tries to protect him, and then Violet gets involved and ends up claiming him as hers. So that's not looking good. Pam has sex with her therapist, the creepy Pillsbury Doughboy looking one, so that she can be put in general population with everybody else and see her friends. And that's really sad for her, and I hate that for her. Alcide tells the pack that Sam and Nicole are dead, but they know he's lying.
You sit on a throne of lies.
And they kick him out, and Ricky's like, bitch. And they fight, and Alcide beats her ass, but is like, I'm out of here. You can't fire me. I quit. Bill tells Eric about the vampire vision they had of all of them dying, and then goes to talk to Sookie during the daytime, so he knows she knows he's serious. And then is like, I have proof of the camp now if you have your blood. And she's like, oh, well, okay, I guess. Nora and Eric talk about Godric and how Eric is the one that brought her to Godric. Very Rosalie and Emmett type deal. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Don't talk to me. And that, they had a great time. Everything's going to be okay. And then she dies. I can't find my tape to put a little X on her, so we're just going to draw a little X. Sorry for the lack of professionalism here. Wow. And then I realized that I didn't do one for Terry, but I don't want to draw an X on my sweet baby munchkin because that would be disrespectful to my sweet baby munchkin. So we're going to draw a giant heart. Just like a giant heart. Love you, big guy. That's my baby right there. Episode 8. Eric is pretty manic after Nora's death, and he yells at Bill and then gets kicked out of the house because Bill's like, you're not going to talk to me like that, bitch. Sookie asks Borlo for help saving the other vampires because they're friends, and he says, if you let me turn you, I'll save them. She's like, let me think about it, actually. Ooh. When she leaves the fairy realm, Eric is in the cemetery watching her, and not that she knows that, and he's trying to figure out how to get into the fairy realm because he's got some beef with Borlo. Alcide shows up at Merlotte's and says, LOL, I know Nicole's pregnant. And Sam's like, yeah, I think it's mine. I'll have you know that Luna died like maybe 2 weeks ago. It's been 2 weeks. You've already impregnated another bitch. I'm gonna need you to be so fucking for real right now. James goes back to the general population and ends up telling Steve about the poison blood because he doesn't really know the situation with Steve and he's trying to be nice, but fuck Steve. Sookie tells Bill about Warlow's condition and he's like, damn, that sucks. Anyway, Violet is feeding on Jason and he asks her not to assault him. I hate the writers of the show. I have beef with every single one of you, and if I see you in the street, it's on. Sarah grills Steve about vampires not drinking the blood, and he immediately tells her that they know. Because he's a pussy bitch. Sookie goes to Merlotte's and says she wants to be with Sam.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Sam about has a stroke, says LOL, Nicole's pregnant. Nikki, is that her name, Nicole? Yeah, Nicole. Nicole's pregnant, and Sookie has the worst timing. And then she leaves, embarrassed, as she should. Sookie goes to her parents' graves and is like, I guess I have to become the thing that you hated. She's very dramatic. Arlene plans Terry's funeral, and everybody's sad about it, and so we're not going to linger on it. Sarah kills someone who threatened to expose that Burrell is dead, and she said, not today. Eric attacks Adeline so that she'll get him into the fairy realm so he can fuck with Borlo. But we see her later, so he didn't drain her. She's okay. And when Sookie and Bill go to see Warlow, he's almost drained. So Violet, James, Tara, Pam, Jessica, and Steve are led into the room that Bill saw from his vision. So it's getting kind of close. Sookie's mad that Eric attacked Warlow and she thinks Bill's behind it, so she says the deal is off and then kicks Bill out. Terry's funeral happens and everyone from around town shares their funny and kind of quirky stories about Terry and what he did and how he was.
It's enough to make a grown man cry.
Alcide shows up for some reason. I'm not really sure he knew Terry, but okay. And he sits with Sookie. Eric goes back to camp because now he's on a mission. He's gonna fuck some bitches up. And kills Dr. Overlark by ripping off his junk. He didn't really do anything. You didn't really make an impression, and you have a weird face, so you deserve to have your junk ripped off. There's pretty much a prison riot happening, and Eric is kind of going through and killing humans and letting people escape. And he finds Jason, where's Jason? There he is, half dead, and gives him his blood so he can heal him because Jason was a guard and he knows his way through the camp, and he's going to need that information. Sarah is a giant pussy bitch, and she's hiding in a pile of dead bodies, so when they all pass by her, she runs in the other direction. She goes to open the hatch in the circle room so that she can kill all the vampires in there. And Bill decides to give them all his blood in the hopes that that'll be enough to keep them alive. Eric kills Steve.
I love you.
Jason
Pam kills her therapist, who I didn't put on the board.
Gas Queen, Skinny Legend, Versace boots the house down. Slay Queen, Hunty Mama, and Oop Daddy work. Charlie X, yes, snatch my whip.
I feel like the plot could have done a lot more with Steve, and they were just like, LOL, gay. All the vampires are in the sun, and they're celebrating because they're not dead. And they decide to all go back to Bill's house. Jason chases down Sarah, but decides not to kill her. Which is dumb. Because why wouldn't you kill her after everything she's done? Are you stupid? Why? Episode 10, which is our season finale, because this season was shorter than the others. What are you doing? Are you trying to die? Because you're going to fall. Okay. Anyway, it's shorter than the other seasons. Good, I guess, because I didn't want to do 12 episodes of this. Alcide and Sookie are walking back from the funeral, and they see all the vampires in the sun, and they're like, Lots of little weird. And Sookie says goodbye to Tara and Pam and Jessica and Jason and meets Violet, who she doesn't like. But none of them know that she's saying goodbye except for Bill, who kind of looks upset about it. But what are you going to do? Like, she did what she had to do. Bill realizes that he's not special anymore. Good, because fuck that. And that he's just Bill again, because giving all his blood away just means that he's just Bill now. No more Billith. Billith is dead. In fact, we'll give her a little X2, because Billith is dead. Sookie goes to Borlo, and he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to change you, girl." And she's like, "Can we just slow down? Can we, like, date for 5 seconds?" And he hits her across the face, because he's like, "I don't know who you think you're talking to, but it better not be me." So he really sets the tone for this relationship real fucking quick. Tara notices that Pam isn't celebrating with everybody, so she goes to talk to her.
Has Willa realized Eric's gone yet? I don't think so. Why? You're going to be pissed. Don't even tell me you're thinking of going after him.
Bill grows a conscience for 0.5 seconds and tells Jessica and Tara and Jason about the deal with Warlow and that Sookie's going to be changed and she doesn't want to be, and they all demand to go get her because, unlike Bill, they care about other people. Jason begs Adeline for help, and Adeline's like, "You know what? It's hard being a fairy out here. I'm going to help her." And they help them get into the fairy realm, where Bill's ass is immediately beaten. The fight goes into the real world, or like the Earth world. I don't fucking know. Who cares? And Warlow flies away, and Bill's chasing him, but like, what's he gonna do? He's a baby back bitch at this point. Warlow pops back up at Sookie's house and is like, "Rawr, I'm gonna get you." Rawr. And Niall pops back up as an ex machina moment, and Jason stakes him, and Warlow dies. You were quite literally the least intimidating villain we've ever had. Bottom of the pyramid, honestly. Once Warlow is dead, all the vampires in the sun feel the light leaving them, so they have to go back inside. Eric is on a mountain in Sweden reading Naked in the Sun for some reason, and then he starts to burn and set on fire. GTA dead screen. We'll just put a question mark right there, just for him. Because we don't really know yet, but we're assuming. But you know what happens when you assume. Then we do something we haven't done in a while in the True Blood fan, I don't want to say fanfic, universe. Universe is what I meant. And we jump ahead 6 months. So we're going to do a quick recap of where everybody is 6 months later after everything I just talked about. Okay? Rapid fire. Hep V is rampant, bunch of vampires dying. It's a pandemic, you might say. Bill wrote a book because he's a diva and he can't not be the center of attention for 10 minutes. Do I think that it's a good book? Probably not. He's probably annoying and he talks about himself so much and he's just like, I'm Bill and I'm just tortured soul. He's a horrible person. I bet he didn't tell anybody that. Alcide and Sookie are dating and living together, which after the way he's acted all season doesn't make any sense, and I would have liked to see the progression. We could have used 2 more episodes, you fucks. Jason and Violet are living together. Sam is now the mayor, because I guess they didn't have any other options but the bar owner. And Nicole is very heavily pregnant, so she was pregnant. And he and Bill are working together to stop the Hep V kind of crisis. So the kind of situation they have going on is like one person who tests negative for Hep V agrees to be the donor for the vampire, and the vampire agrees to be the protector because they're like these Hep V vampires that are just attacking people. They're almost like zombies. True Blood tried to do zombies, but it didn't really work out that well. So there's kind of that deal going on, and yeah. I don't really think that's going to be successful, but Arlene now owns more lots because I guess she bought it from Sam, but he probably just gave it to her, considering how he feels about money. He probably just gave it to her for a low price, so she didn't have to spend the $2 million, but, there's that. Letty Mae offers to be Tara's donor because she wants a relationship with her daughter, and Tara says yes, and they have a little mom-daughter hug. Cute. Jessica tries to offer Andy and Adeline protection, but, I said Adeline's spirit. But Andy tells her to fuck off, rightfully so. Bill tries to offer Sookie protection because he wants some of that good blood, because... and Elsie goes, bitch, if you don't step the fuck off, I'll kill you. And then they're having this conversation, and Sookie's like, LL, no, I don't want any of that. Don't touch me, you disgusting leech. And then a bunch of heavy zombies start showing up. And that is the end. That's the end. Here we are at the end of season 6. Damn. If you're asking me, and you should be asking me because I'm the expert, this is where the show should have ended. We have some tragedies. We lost the love of my life. We had some stupid moments. We had some character development. We had some changes. But overall, we wrapped up what we were trying to wrap up. We know what Sookie is. We know why Sookie is. We learned about her parents' death. We learned, more about the fairies. Elsie kind of got the resolution of like, I'm not in a pack anymore, and Sam's a father now. Okay, that's weird. And things are just going better. Bill's back to normal. We're not doing that. And yeah, I want to see next season because homeboy over here, I don't want to think that he died. And there are some things that we could probably expand on a little bit, but overall, this is a good stopping point. But unfortunately for me, they didn't do that. They said, money. And they gave us a season 7.
Fuck it though, bro. It's your life.
And so that's what we'll talk about next time. One more hurrah for the show, and then we're done. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy to me. Yeah. So I'll see you.
Peace out, douchewad.